coming from my background, went to Afghan in 2012. I understand that sort of world probably a little bit better than anyone else. I didn't fight ISIS. I was out of the military by then, but I've had a lot of mates that did fight ISIS. And they were not shy with their kids in this process. There are a lot of photos of kids like these kids holding up severed heads. Wives doing just as much damage as the males are doing. So how are we going to allow, as an Australian government, these people to come back in, potentially be put into our society, and then you had a kid that 2 years ago was holding up severed heads, or 5 years ago holding up severed heads, and they're now being thrown into a kindergarten with Australian kids.
Next to our kids.
Like, do we not think sometimes maybe the risk isn't worth the reward here? Like, where's this suicidal empathy going to end us as a country?
And I think, guys, I mean, you may have a contrary opinion, but the moment anyone decides they're going to go over and fight with a terror group, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Your citizenship is revoked.
You're staying
and
there.
that of your family, it's done.
The bloodline.
Yeah.
You can never
Unlucky.
come back. Otherwise, what possible repercussion is there?
Yeah.
You know, and potentially they could be fighting against Australian soldiers.
They were.
They were.
I can
So-
guarantee you, mate. There's plenty of my mates that told me stories that they were killing Australians over there.
Which is insane. And like Sam was saying, to break it down, layman terms, the threshold for these children and their violence levels far exceed people probably like you, everyday people on the street. And so many people fail to understand this. You know, we was talking about this off air, and you look at the kids that come from war-torn African countries, right, in Melbourne, that are now running amok with machetes. It's like, well, why do they do that? That's not normal for Australians. Of course it's not normal for us, but it's normal for them. And so if you bring back ISIS children, which are also called Caliphate Cubs, it's a nickname they've been given, you potentially unlock or unleash a whole new realm in 15, 20 years when they're adults that completely hate everything about us, because that's how they were raised, it's what they've been taught, and it's all they know to be true.
That marries up with your experience. Like, you went to Afghanistan 2012. I remember seeing on one of your podcasts, you talk incredibly powerful, incredibly powerfully about the fact that you had to get out of your head that these were kids. They were a threat. And it's terrible because, I mean, no one wants a kid to be like that, but you're looking out for that.
I mean, you know, and one incident overseas, we had a 13-year-old suicide bomber. You know, so like that's how they use their kids over there. That's the life these kids are brought up into. And I'm sorry, I'm just not willing to take any of that. I'm not willing to take any of that life into Australian life. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen this stuff brew. Do I feel sorry for that part of the world? Yeah, of course I do. Of course, I like to, you know, my heart goes out to them. But I also know and love Australia and want Australia to be Australia. I don't want our government to have massive levels of suicide empathy that's now going to put Australian citizens at risk.
It's like how Faruqi came out the other day saying that she's disappointed the Australian government's not doing more to facilitate these people coming back. And it's like, all right, well, let's look at what the Australian government would have to do to facilitate them coming back. You got to send a crack hot team overseas to go pick them up, make sure they don't get killed on the way over. Then you've got to bring them back. You've got to give them all the housing. So we're already in a crisis, but then the government's going to hand all of this stuff to them and say, here you go, welcome home. So how does that make the everyday Australian feel? Like you just got stabbed in the back by your own government for someone that left to fort. It's like, well, why are people then wanting to cooperate with police, for example? Why are people wanting to be part of society when the government is literally just disposing of your thought?
This lady we've got here is the daughter of an Iranian military leader. She is living in Brisbane, as I understand it. This is a serious regime that slaughters women on the streets. She's out here, she's on, you know, with full benefits, health benefits. I mean, good luck to her. But how does someone like that get a visa? What has happened to our borders?
I'm going to throw a pretty big curveball.
And say it's okay?
No, of course not. She's the tip of the iceberg. So, for example, there was a High Court ruling that we could not hold dangerous detainees in immigration centres indefinitely. So we released something like, someone may have to fact check this, something like 20,000 very dangerous people onto the streets within months.
Worst of them too.
Within months, one of the African blokes had killed an Australian man in Victoria by pretty much beating him to death on the side of the road, right?
Curb stomping.
Curb stomping him. So we look at her. right? For all we know, she's escaped the regime. We don't know. So we can speculate all we like. Sam, I'm not going to speak for Sam. I'll say myself, Sam may agree. My opinion, if we have problems with people like that, send them all home. I don't care where they come from. I don't care what their backgrounds are. If you've been a soldier for a foreign army that has committed atrocities, get out. If you have come from a war-torn country and you're not going to subscribe to our values, get out. If you are family from a government that is horrific, get out. Because right now we need to start, as Sam said before, we need to start focusing on Australia and fixing Australia. If we continue to let all these foreign wars come onto our shores, we're going to see more and more and more divide.
We're a beautiful culture, but that side of our Australia, the horse is probably bolted, right?
In regards to suicidal empathy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think suicidal empathy is now on both sides of politics. I was having a discussion at a golfing trip last week with a few mates and having a discussion about it, mostly right-leaning sort of guys. And they're like, Sam, I don't really care who comes into this country. And a lot of the politicians say this as well. I don't care who comes into their country. I just care that they come here to work and they assimilate. It's like, no, you're missing the point altogether. Even our politicians are missing the point. Even to somewhat, to an extent, Pauline Hanson's missing the point. It's like, why is immigration happening at the massive levels it is now? Because we are broken as a country. We are debt-driven as a country. And we are driving this country into the ground financially by borrowing way much more than we should be. And the reason that we need to have mass levels of mass immigration is to assist that with getting our GDP up. What does the GDP get up? That means you can borrow more, your credit rating's higher. And we're just in this vicious cycle of debt that is going to run us into death. So everyone hates me for saying this and they call me like a massive racist. Both the right and left need to have their heads knocked together with this suicidal empathy, because the left comes in and says, yeah, let's have a lot of people. The right come in and say, let's have a restricted amount of people, but make sure they work and assimilate. It's like, hey, both of you guys need to shut up. We need to fix our birth rate, which is at 1.42 per female, needs to go to 2.1 to state of population, and we need to shut the gate. We need to shut the gate so Australia stays Australia.
Well, you're right in the sense that also, I think it was under Scott Morrison, we allowed ISIS brides in too. So everyone's done it. But the time has come, surely now. I mean, there are still, I think there are parts of the Act that allow us to deny entry to the country, but also to getting a passport, even if you're an Australian citizen, if you're a security risk. I don't know why that wouldn't have been done.
It's interesting you say that. I actually saw Tony Burke. He was asked this question the other day on some mainstream media channel, and he said that every Australian citizen has the right to get a passport irrespective of who they are. And that was it. Because the journo went on to ask, well, can they not be revoked?
But as Section 14 says that if there's a security element to that or risk to that, then you can deny it, right? So
which is insane.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing it. They're not doing it. They're not doing their job.